this is, this is kind of an update to some extent to our Jeskai Faithless Looting control deck that we were playing a lot of earlier this year. The idea is that Faithless Looting is a really good card advantage spell when you have a lot of good stuff to discard for value. Kind of simple, but I think in general these the Faithless Looting Phlage is an underexplored, a very underexplored strategy. We had a lot of success with the Boros Delirium deck. That's something I've been wanting to kind of circle back to as well. But we had also good success with this like looting Phlage control deck. And our very first drafts were playing Deep Analysis, and then they printed Winternight Stories, which is ended up being I think a really big upgrade to this shell, where like just 3 mana Winternight Stories, discard a Phlage is really, really strong. And then you have we were playing Dragon Rage's Channeler as a way to flashback the Winternight Stories. Now we're playing Abhorrent Oculus. And so I've been wanting to kind of move away from the Channeler Bauble stuff for a while, and then move into Oculus instead, where Oculus Unearth, Oculus Thought Scour is a really tried and true strategy in the Dimir shells. And we've done a lot of looting Phlage, and like Tamiyo has just made so much sense to like why isn't there a looting Phlage Oculus deck? There's just like so much overlapping synergy with these cards, and it just feels like it's never been tried. And so I've been trying to like kind of paint it together for a while. It took me a little bit of time to get away from DRC Bauble. It took me a little bit of time to like figure out like a good split. I think of like Winternight, Savine's Rack, Helping Hand, or maybe not Helping Hand as part of the split, but like Helping Hand and Savine's Rack, and then not playing the full 4 Winternight Stories. And then also I think it took some time for the metagame to kind of evolve in a spot where you don't want to be main decking Counterspell. Maybe it's been like this for a little bit, but this was also the dialogue tree with our earlier Jeskai looting deck, where part of the reason why that deck was kind of good at the time was because you were playing a more proactive game plan where you're tapping out on your turn and you're holding up just like 1 mana Spell Snare and Force of Negation for 0 mana. Like I think this shell really shines when it's like 1 mana counter spells and Force of Negation you want to be playing instead of actual factual counterspell. Not only because it's hard to hold those up, but also because it makes your mana much, much better to not have double blue cards. You can kind of just comfortably play Mountain, comfortably play Arena of Glory, etc. And then I also realized when I put the deck together, wait, what? You just get to play Obosh. Once I cut the baubles from the deck, and I didn't want to play Counterspell, and I didn't. And I also because the other thing is we moved into Oculus, so you wanted to go away from Tune the Narrative. You wanted to go away from Wrath the Skies. This build at one point was playing Wrath the Skies Tune the Narrative. And it's because we moved away from Wrath, all of a sudden Obosh is just a free card in this deck. I saw someone in the chat saying, so Obosh is just an extra card for flooded games here. It has some synergy with Phlage and Heat, but we're not holding these cards to get Obosh out, I assume. And I feel like I am Dr. Manhattan on the moon in Watchmen. It's 2020. I'm explaining to chat that a free extra 8th card is really, really broken. It's 2023. Luris is banned, and I explained to chat that an extra card is broken. It's 2025. I get to play Obosh for free, and I explained to chat that companions are broken. It can be really, really powerful with Phlage. It can also just be like, it has the Gigantha effect of, oh, I'm an Arena of Glory deck. All of a sudden, I can haste my 6 power creature and just hit you for 6 with a card that I otherwise wouldn't have had access to. So play the companion if you can get it. Obosh is one of the better companions too. Like when you compare the card quality of Obosh to something like Gigantha or something like Kiora, it is much stronger. Like Phlage dealing 6 damage is really nice, and just a nice solid card. So now it did come at the cost of trying to play some sideboard cards that I had a different sideboard before I realized we were going to play Obosh. So I had like Celestial Purge, and I had High Noon, I had some Wrath the Skies, and it's like the Wrath the Skies kind of became Meltdown. I had like a Subtlety, which became like the third Ashiok. So you do have to make some concessions there, but don't have to make any concessions in the main deck, which is nice. Does Riddler not fit with the plan? Not really. Riddler is kind of nice with Winternight Stories. But it doesn't get unearthed or reclamation, and quite frankly, like it doesn't. This isn't a very good ephemerate deck. You could, I guess, instead of playing the Oculus unearth, you could move away. I don't know if you would still play Winternight Stories. You might, honestly, but you could play Solitude, Riddler, Ephemerate kind of instead of this package. I've liked this package a lot though. Also, like Obosh is making your Oculus attack for 10 is kind of cool. Yeah, Riddler's a good card. You know, you can play Riddler control too. I felt that I like for me like I don't think it fits with this game plan as well. I think you would have to move away from the looting stuff. And kind of my thesis statement is that looting, Phlage, Oculus, and like this is like a package of cards that has a lot of potential that just like it isn't been explored or has not been explored. So excited to. Hopefully we don't have any secrets set. Looks like disable animations. That should be good. Yeah, I thought about replacing High Noon with Deafening Silence. The thing is, Deafening Silence is so much worse against Prowess than High Noon is. It's just so much worse that I decided not to. But you could. I almost did. Oh my gosh. No, I didn't set my instep stop. Oh, my opponent gave it to me. Thank you, opponent. Dingo! Is Teferi an option to harmonize off of a non-escape Phlage? To harmonize off of a non-escape Phlage. That's kind of interesting. I think I do like Teferi a lot at the moment. I think Teferi is good. Okay, hopefully my opponent will play some stuff I could remove since I've got a very removal heavy hand. I do think Teferi is good at the moment. I will say that we're really 3-drop heavy, and I just don't think we can afford to play it. And to keep a card on top. With 4 looting, is the third Winternight truly better than the second Consign? Yeah, I mean maybe. I'll say that we're really early into this testing process. I think like all control builds, you can do a lot of tweaking on the numbers for sure. It's certainly possible you could want to main deck the second Consign. Although on that note, I think let's go and see if this pending resolves. But on that note. Control players, I know you'll always get to feel so smart when you main deck a Consign. It's just like, wait, what if we did it? What if we main deck Consign to memory? And like I get it, because Consign is good. It's a card you could definitely play, but like it's one of these suggestions I just have a hard time taking super duper seriously because it gets suggested so much. You know what I mean? So you see this as a control deck? I see this as a mid-range deck, because you are definitely kind of pivoting from more controlling to more aggressive elements. It's kind of weird because we sort of pivoted from this shell of like looting. We had a looting control build that it just had Phlage as a win con, and it was playing main deck sweepers. We're playing Wrath the Skies. We're playing 2 the narrative. Like this build was a control build, and now with Oculus, it's kind of pivoted more into like mid-range. Or I usually call it mid range with counterspells tempo. So I would describe this as a tempo deck, because that's just like mid range counterspells is tempo, mid range discard spells is rock for me. You can obviously have a different definition. Oh, I forgot to mention this. There's part of the reason why this synergy of Oculus Phlage is so cool is because if you manifest a Phlage, you just get to flip Adelphia into play. Spike, do you think you'll miss your 15 sideboard card? Is it worth it for Obosh? I'm going to think that most of these comments are not serious. I think I'm going to flashback the Winternight here since I've got the Helping Hand top deck. I'm going to discard, I think, just the 2 flashback cards here. I'm Dr. Manhattan. It's 2020. I'm explaining to chat that companions are broken. It's 2023. Luris is banned. I explained to chat that companions are broken. It's 2025. We get to play Obosh for free. I explained to chat that companions are broken. All right. Well, opponent, we drew the nuts, and my opponent put up like no resistance, so that was good. So we're up against the Jeskai Blink deck. Now, I know Dingo trophied with this last night. I popped in for a little bit. Surgical for Phlage is something I think I'd like access to. Consign is kind of interesting. It's, it's pretty good if they don't have Ephemerate, and a lot of times it's pretty bad if they do. Probably want more than one. Sorry, I just need to pull up the list, I guess. I keep forgetting how many 2-drops they play. Is it just the dog, just Velia? Yeah, so this deck is really popping off. So they've got 4 main deck consigns, 3 Felias, maybe a sideboard purge. So let's go down to like 1 snare, especially because we've got a lot of removal spells that deal with the Felia. As far as Force of Negation goes, dealing with Teferi and Fable seems pretty good. I think we'd probably just want to leave all of them in. Teferi is like such a pain in the ass. Although I guess if we don't have it, maybe Teferi is not the big a deal. We've got Pending and Heat. Maybe we want to play 1 less. I think I can buy 1 less. 1 more Consign. Yeah, it doesn't actually stop as much of this deck as you might think it does, especially because we're boarding out the snares too. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good. That list is so close to Obosh. Yeah. So, we were talking about this, but like, you could kind of get Obosh here. You'd have to move away from Felia, and the Wrath Disguise. But that's similar to how we we get to play the companion. All right, probably gonna mulligan this on the draw. Can we have the win record on screen, or is it broken? Good question. I don't know if it's broken because of me or because of Magic Online. Okay, we're on a mold of 5. Give me a second, and I'll get a. It looks like it should be like it looks like everything is right on my end. Yeah, I think I'll just keep the Phlage discard to the looting. It looks like everything's right on my end, so we might need to get a manual tracker up if it went down. This is our first match of the day, and we're up a game. Let me get the manual record up there. They do have a turn 1 Ragavan. Do I want to play a turn 1 Tamiyo to try to block the Ragavan? I don't like that I have to get like Steam Vents. And I've got the Thundering Falls. Seems like they're... Okay, they played a Ghost Vacuum instead. Okay, well, that's interesting. Let's graveyard that. Got a lot of answers to, or we have the prismatic endings for the Ghost Vacuum, so we don't need to be too worried about this card necessarily. I have 2 consigns I could try to use to save the Phlage. Ghost Vacuum definitely very good here. I think we should go for the flip. I think I'll discard the land. Alright, no Solitude, no removal. Plus the Tamiyo. Pass back. As a Felia? Well, in bad shape. Very good Ghost Vacuum. Ghost Vacuum and maybe a reason to play like a 3rd Consign on the play. Consign also good against Felia sometimes. I might flip my Tamiyo back. They attack the Tamiyo, so presumably they're not flipping it. Okay, it's fine. So we got 3 cards in their hand. Sorry, 5 cards in their hand. I've got 3 cards in my hand. Maybe they're going to Phlage the Tamiyo. They do Phlage the Tamiyo. I think I want to try to save my Scalding Tarn to Surveil. Getting wrecked by the Ghost Vacuum. Might be a good Obosh kind of game. Yeah, we could be playing Riddler. The thing is, Riddler is just worse if you're not playing Ephemerate. Riddler is not that exciting of a card. It is kind of good with Winternight Stories. It's kind of good in general, but we have a lot of card draw already, and I think you would just need to pivot more into a Solitude Ephemerate plan. And my thesis statement is that I just really want to be exploring the synergies of Oculus and Phlage and Looting this time around. So they flip a Pending. Would have been a nice top deck for me to deal with the Ghost Vacuum. So I can go Tamiyo and Phlage in my hand. Or I can hold up Unholy Heat. I think I'm going to put the Phlage in my hand. I'm going to go ahead and get a Sacred Foundry so that if I am lucky enough, I could draw a Surveil land, Surveil a Phlage into the yard and escape it. But I also might just haste the Obosh next turn. Adding 6 to Artist Dredge lets you go infinite with Bauble, Dakmor Salvage. Kind of interesting. It's kind of a good card. Adding 6 seems wild to me. Like when you what you usually win the game when you untap with Artist Talent. Like an uncontested Artist Talent for me like has almost always translated to a turn 3 win. Not every single time, but the fact that for it to be like this infinite loop is you have to resolve your Artist Talent, then you have to resolve your 6, you have to have a Mishra's Bauble, and then you have to have a Dakmor Salvage. It's just too many pieces for a card that already wins the game by itself. They hit a Tamiyo. Good job, Ragavan. Kind of too little too late on the Ghost Vacuum. I think let's go ahead and go to game 2. Or game 3, sorry. Game 3 on the play. Yeah, let me go ahead, I think on the play the third Consign over the second Force. And click Submit. Fair enough, except all pieces except 6 concern your graveyard. Yeah, I mean that's well not the Artist Talent, right? Or does just Bauble? Yeah, no, you need the Artist Talent. Okay, let's keep this. I'm gonna play the Strand on turn 1 so I can Consign a Ghost Vacuum. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun idea, but I think it's just too many pieces and like it just meaningfully, and I would say notably makes your deck slower. Bauble's kind of interesting in Dredge in general though, because it's sometimes just 0 mana Dredge. Although Street Wraith is better for like that effect if that's what you really care about. Graveyard of Phlage, it's nice. No, Ragavan's nice too. Thoughtscour Phlage is just like, it's just so underexplored. So we're not too scared of Felia plus Riddler because we've got the Consign to get rid of the Riddler. I think I'm going to cast a Looting this turn. Okay, maybe a little late Tamiyo. Let's discard one of the Winternight Stories. Okay, so I already have the Steam Vince in play, so I can't get Steam Vince off the Mesa. I could get Sacred Foundry and cast Unholy Heat, or I could get Hallowed Fountain and cast Consign, which means that I can escape. I can cast either of the 1-drops and still escape the Phlage next turn. So let's discard the Parlor, and a Winternight, play the Arid Mesa, then play the Tamiyo. Here comes Felia. Now, I would, assuming that they played a Riddler here, I think I would rather Consign the Felia return than heat the Riddler, than heat the Felia. So this way, my escaped Phlage next turn can just deal with the Felia. Instead, they have a Fun Raveler. So it seems like I should heat the Felia so that if my opponent has Solitude for the Phlage, I'm not too far behind. Amtraptor died for the Ring Sins. Thank you for the 17th month, Goose. Still, somehow, Amtraptor still disrespected as the best 2-drop or 2-mana creature in Modern's history. They also have Subtlety for the Phlage. I think we should be jamming it here. I can get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4 lands, and then a Helping Hand. Maybe a Helping Hand was a bit better than like a Scour or Heat in the Yard, not sure. Haste Tammy, kill Teferi. Who's Tammy? This is Tammy? Don't know how that kills the Teferi. All right, so they Solitude. We're up to 23. They pitched a March of Otherworldly Light. They've got 5 cards. I've got 4 cards. I'm up a land. Anybody's game. I said I just scoured this card in the yard and it ate 2 cards out of their hand. They leave a Sacred Foundry untapped, which means that they are representing a subtlety. Could just cast a Winternight Stories. I could cast the Tamiyo and consign the subtlety ETB, but I don't exactly like that the subtlety is going to attack my Tamiyo when I flip it. So I think we'll just all right, I think I'll just discard the Tamiyo. Teferi plus Riddler is worst case scenario, I guess. All right, so that stays in exile. Wait. It's kind of weird that you can't cast this from... You did warp... It's a different iteration of it, but it's kind of funny you cast it and then you warp it and you can't get it back. Lost forever. All right. I have some interesting choices I could make here. I guess the main one is, do I want to haste the Oculus? And I think I'm going to choose not to. So that way I could maybe I'm so likely to find a Phlage between the Lootings and the Scours that I want to be able to save the arena for next turn. So let's discard a Looting, let's discard a Phlage. Plus the Tamiyo. And then let's just cast the Oculus. And maybe they have a Subtlety blue card, but then we get 2 cards out of their hand here. Do have to exile a lot of cards to the yard. That's okay. We've got the Scour next turn if we need some more. Get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I guess we'll just get rid of. We could get rid of 3rd Looting. Every other card's got value here. All right, so they did not have a Subtlety. They could maybe have another Solitude. It's not super likely they have a second Riddler. If they do have a second Solitude, there's a really high chance they would hard cast. They do keep a card on top, so we'll see. We'll see what that is. I guess I should have imprinted the land instead. I tend to like to try to make my Oculus decisions really fast to make it look like there is a creature, but sometimes that just is not actually very productive. Oh yeah, I guess also imprinting the Hallowed Fountain, if they Felia this, then it comes back as a land instead of just getting yeeted. Am I surprised by how little play Looting is seen? Yep. Short answer, yes. They did keep a card on top. Let's Scour first. We go with the Tamiyo minus. But another one of these. I mean, like, worst case scenario, they have Solitude, and then we're really ahead of that, and they might have Consign, which you don't really care about. No, I guess they would have attacked if they had Consign. Maybe there's something here I'm supposed to be able to sniff at. My nose is broken. I'm escaping the Phlage. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave the Scour in the yard to pick up with the Tamiyo. Is Riddler not an auto in any blue deck? Of course not. Riddler is broken with Flicker stuff, and it is fine without Flicker stuff. And so, like, if you're doing the Flicker stuff, then it's an auto add, but it's not. We're trying to explore the looting angle, the looting unearth angle. We just beat the other version. I'll say that this is a pretty common dialogue tree on the Is It Phoenix pipeline, where it's like, I got it. We're going to play a random 2-mana creature. And Frog is very good, but we're going to play a 2-mana creature, and that's going to solve all of our problems. But it just isn't really how... There isn't a lot of room in the deck, and I think it isn't really... I think you should just let Phoenix be a good deck if Force of Negation and Lightning Bolt are really good. And let Phoenix just not be a deck you play if that's not the case. That's been my attitude with it, and that's going to continue to be my attitude with that archetype, I think. Yeah, we can update the record. Yeah, I did see there was a Magic Online update, so I'm assuming that's why the record tracker isn't working. Typically I like to get not my second red in these spots, so I can let an Arena of Glory be the second red. Right, a little bit Oculus flooded. Don't have a third land. Starting town. Where do they do it over there? Is it just affinity? Do you want to Force of Negation this? Sure. Maybe punished. Right, so it looks like no Kappa Cannoneer in hand. They would have cast it this turn, so that's good news. Flipping the Tamiyo against the drone tokens can be quite good. We don't want to attack into the drone tokens. I remember that was a mistake. I kept making and other people kept making pretty early into Tamiyo being free. Let's just discard both Winternight Stories. And then Prismatic Ending something and hold up Consign. Probably the boots. Starting town as a cast of Viper? Maybe. It could just be like, I mean, they're already 3 colors. Like it is just a good tri-land in their deck. Okay, did they top deck Kappa Cannoneer? I'm glad we got rid of the boots, I guess. They play Otawara as a land, which means they have... I guess I don't know what it means, because they already had 3 mana for Sync. It means it's very likely that this Oculus is not going to resolve. So I think that I want to try to go minus the Tamiyo on the Unholy Heat, and then heat the Kappa Cannoneer and consign the trigger. The problem is my opponent probably has a piece of counter magic, but we're not really doing super good against that anyways. I do think we should probably just do it on upkeep here. Although we could try to get we could try to like replicate and consign, counter like a 0-drop. I think that's probably a little less important. They target the consign? Okay. Well, we did get an extra sync out of their hand. All they needed to do was rebuke this heat. They just threw away this. They threw away the counter magic in their hand. That being said, this game is going to be very, very tough to win unless somehow we can like haste a Phlage next turn and play an Oculus this turn. Which, you know, that could happen. Yeah, I think I'm just not gonna. I think I'm gonna play to that by like getting a red surveil land here. Also, if my opponent just doesn't have an artifact, which is obviously very tough, but if they don't, that could be good. We could also Winternight Stories. I think let's get the red surveil land. Okay, although sorry, I guess we also have the ability to like manifest the Phlage. Okay, I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna get the surveil land. Getting ordered 1 instant, 1 sorcery, another sorcery because if we have the Winternight Stories, another Force of Negation as another instant, and then I think a looting over a Winternight, and then probably need to keep the Tamiyo in the yard. Oh, sorry, I missed there's another Oculus somehow. I wish you could like pop out. I wish when you popped out the graveyard, it was a little bit more zoomed. Getting too old for this. Okay, so I mean, obviously, really, it would be just really nice if they had 2 lands or like, I guess that's it. Tamiyo maybe. Oh, I missed that they had a Bauble draw. So dead. Okay, game 2. All right, so we're going to bring in Wear Tear. We're going to bring in Meltdown. I'm kind of interested in more Consign so I can counter the Ward trigger on Kappa Cannoneer and kill it with Unholy Heat or Wear Tear. I don't know how good Fire Magic is. Level 2 kills Imri, can clean a Pinnacle Emissary. I think I want the first copy, but if they're playing Mox Amber, I think no Mox Amber, probably second copy. With Mox Amber, probably just one copy at first. Let's cut the Force of Negations. Cut the Snare. Well, they could be playing a bunch of weapons, but Mox Amber means it less likely, so I think we'll just leave in one Snare for now. Maybe gonna play second Consign instead. I think I'm gonna cut the Sevine's Wreck. They're likely to bring in a good amount of Graveyard Hate, maybe down a Helping Hand to 3 Consigns. Maybe even I just want all 4 Consigns against them. I don't think we care as much about weapons because we have 4 Pendings anyways. All right, let's trade this. Also, if they have a lot of Graveyard Hate, the Consigns can like help you just like get a Phlage and play through the Graveyard Hate. You can also play 1 Snare over the first Helping Hand. I think I'll keep 1 Helping Hand. Pretty interesting sideboarding decisions here. Well, I have a Meltdown, and we're against Affinity. Let's keep. Should all blue decks sideboarding Consigns for countering Ward? I'm just not someone that almost ever will be like, this is something you should always do. In Modern, Modern is so weird. There's just like so many decision trees. So like blue decks with Consign can mean so many different things that I would never, I almost never say you should always do something. I will say that this is maybe a line that you can start considering if you haven't been considering it, but almost never will I tell you to always do something. I think I keep that. Now, do I care more about killing the Tamiyo, or do I care more about meltdowning and Opal and explosives? Honestly, I feel like I care more about getting rid of the Tamiyo. So we might be able to do both, obviously, if they just don't have Rebuke. But I think I'm happy enough to trade Meltdown for Rebuke if they have it, and then Prismatic Ending the Tamiyo. Have you ever tried Legion Extruder and weapons? I don't think I've ever played Legion Extruder in Modern. I don't know if it's good. It is kind of interesting. Certainly something to the idea. Is Hydro-Man in a deck with instants? Too bad for testing. Hydro-Man. I got a little bit of lag there. I don't know what Hydro-Man is. Is it a Spider-Man card? I consider myself to be a pretty big Spider-Man fan, but there's a lot of card names I didn't recognize or characters I didn't recognize. Justice for Big Wheel. So they don't crack the Bauble, which means one of their last 2 cards is likely to be a Kappa Cannoneer. So I can maybe just save Wear Tear and Consign to deal with that. Could put Obosh in my hand. Their hand could be Consign plus Kappa Cannoneer. We don't need to be too worried about that. I think we'll just surveil. The blue 2/2 becomes an eye on the opponent's turn. I didn't think that card was modern playable. I thought it was kind of a cool card. Looting against Meltdown. Well, Meltdown will continue to be good this game, even if we don't find it this turn. They do crack the Bauble this time. Would not mind them top decking a Saga, although if we were right about them having a Rebuke, that could be bad. I always think that this is like a fast land template. I always forget it's first 3 turns. It always surprises me when I see it enter tapped and there's not 3 lands in play already. They're thinking. They have Surgical in their hand. So I don't want to haste the Oculus because of Rebuke. But I'm happy enough to trade to trade this for a Rebuke. I guess I do want to keep Delirium, because if I draw a second Unholy Heat, then I want to be able to use that instead of the Wear Tear to kill a Kappa Cannoneer. Nice. So grab Arena of Glory so that the Winternight Stories goes to the graveyard here. Is Binding essentially unplayable outside of Zoo? I mean, it was good in our Cascade Birthing Ritual deck that we were playing. I don't know how Dingo did with that last night. I know he played it, but I've liked that deck a lot. I had a deep run with it at the Mox. Why leave up blue, white, and simply red? Well, I mean, it doesn't really... Oh, the Wear Tear is why, because I could kill it Urza Saga, right? But, I don't know, like this. I don't know how much you care about bluffing a 1-mana removal spell. All right, so they are out of cards in their hand. I don't really care about them portable holding the manifest token. And just saving Consign plus Wear Tear is really important to beat a top deck Kappa Cannoneer. Magic Online laggy today. I don't know if this is the updates. Dingo also was messing around with my PC yesterday, so he like updated the firmware. That's probably not what's causing this though. That's true. We could kill the portable hole and get back at Arena of Glory. Alright, so the Pinnacle Emissaries leave to come back next turn probably. They have 3, 4, 5, 6. I did draw the Unholy Heat. Let's flash back the Winternight Stories. I know that this does leave them room to attack. I think that that's okay. Especially if we get to go discard Phlage, haste the Phlage. Wait, I don't have enough cards in my yard. Dang it. Okay, I guess I will be passing the turn then. Or enough white mana? I have enough white mana. This is Phlage. Y'all are gaslighting me all day today. I think we want to use the heat since we might be losing Delirium in a second. I am a pioneer. I aspire to get going where no Magic streamer has ever gone before. I'm ramping. I'm putting a land into play by casting Prismatic Ending. Never been done before. You'll never see it again. Yeah, I'll leave the Oculus back. So yeah, the Arena got exiled by Portable Hole because it got manifested to the Oculus. You'll never see it again, probably. Yeah, being able to just like flip Phlage for 3 mana is so cool. So likely go to game 3. Liking this deck a lot. Yeah, Wedding Prep's doing well. Good morning. Don't have much left. My cousin is a florist, and I gotta help her set stuff up on Saturday. I've got to write instructions for Esther's dad when he's watching the dogs, and I've got like 1 or 2 more small things on the list, but overall pretty smooth. I have to keep Dingo fed, which might bankrupt me, but small price to pay. My gut is telling me to Prismatic Ending this Shadow Spear off of a Sacred Foundry. I think I'm going to do that. Nice job. I wish you a good recovery. Take it easy. Check out the link I said. Okay, I guess I'll just try. I don't know why this wouldn't be working, but I feel like it looks exactly the same as what I have pasted here. Yeah, not working for me. We can mess with it some more. Seems like a card we need to keep. Would you play Carnage without playing the combo? We have, and we have 3-2 to league with it. There's also like potentially a Mardu build that could exist with that idea too. So I could save the heat to try to draw Consign if my opponent does have Kappa Cannoneer. I can also heat a construct to try to get them off of Kappa Cannoneer. Okay, I guess we'll save it for the meltdown. Let me just make a new browser source maybe instead of editing the one I had. Yeah, I guess not working for me. Right, so they find a Tormod's Crypt. So land would be nice so I could just go cast Oculus, then cast Meltdown. Okay, they're playing around that. Let's lead on a looting here. I think I'm discarding Winternight lands. This way I can go Oculus, Flashback, Winternight all in one go. Cast Meltdown for 0. Prismatic Ending the Tamiyo. Try to Surveil end of turn with my last blue-white Surveil land, and then we can go fetch Oculus Winternight next turn, maybe also Heat. Let me take off the Timmy, see if for some reason that works. No, yeah, still not working. Very odd. All right, so they've got an Emery, they mill a Kappa Cannoneer and a Pinnacle Emissary. I think we'll just go ahead and cook the Merfolk. If I don't want to get rid of the Phlage, I should fetch first. I think I'm going to prioritize the possibility of having a 1-mana interactive spell I can cast instead of keeping the looting in the yard. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll try it magical. Right. I still have a fountain in the deck, right? So I think I'm just going to discard the Tamiyo. Since the Scour is going to let me, and the Scour, the Manifest will let me redeploy the Oculus pretty well. I found a meme that perfectly embodies Spike on Scryfall. Scryfall's got memes on it? How do you filter by meme? Yeah, Record Checker's not working for me. I don't know. Black controversial streamer aspiring Spike blacklisted by Dan Bopes. What will he do next? How can I show you Spike? Will I check your Twitter? I don't check Twitter. I mean, can you just post like an image? Can you just post the Scryfall link in chat? I don't know. I have to go through a third party. You're right here. Twitch is a third party? Okay, we got 4 parties. Me, you, Scryfall, and Twitch. Not enough parties, if you ask me. Alright. So we could cast an Oculus after this resolves. We could go Oculus Winternight. Could chill also. And go like Unholy Heat plus Consign this turn. Could go Oculus hold up either. I think Oculus hold up either is going to be good. Let's see if this resolves first. Oh yeah, so we do have to get rid of the Winternight Stories, which I think is okay. I thought you said it's not from Scryfall, but you understand. I'm not gonna open a Twitter link. Sorry, Pox. I appreciate the thought though. We are now beating a Capican here because we just fly over and then Phlage them. Seems like I should counter the Saga trigger because the cards I'm most scared of are like Lava Spur Boots, Aether Spell Bomb, Shadow Spear. We don't really care about Kappa Cannoneer. Alright. Meme acquired. How it feels to be ripped off the pendulum on Scryfall Advanced at 3 a.m. That's not too far off. Not too far off. Alright, 2-0. Thank you for the beam. I think I had to mulligan this. Alright, let's keep this on 6 on the play. I guess we're putting back the Force. Opponent's also to multi 6. Hasbro picked up the K-pop Demon Hunters IP. Let's fucking go. they bought it? Hasbro did? Have I Obosh my testing? Not on stream today. I mean, like, listen, it's a companion. Companions are broken. We don't need to litigate this forever, but it is, you know, not going to be a lot of games that it happens. For toy merch, okay. I'll take a K-pop Demon Hunter set. I don't know what K-pop Demon Hunters. I prefer to keep it that way. It's very, very good movie. I know it's not. I had the same reaction when a friend of mine told me to watch it, and I was like, I'm too good for that. But no, it's just one of the best movies I've seen recently. I like that we have the ending for Frog. We don't care too much if they tap out for it. Force. Having hands at arenas, Kiora is probably good. What would you cut for it? We have played a lot of Kiora. I do kind of like Kiora. This might be an Obosh game. If they frog and leave up 1 mana, do you pending using 3 instead of 2? I guess we should, huh? That's not a line I've done very often. Play around snare, but in this spot it doesn't seem to have much downside besides maybe like not being able to surveil. Yeah, I think that this is a fun line. Let's go ahead and show it off. So we do this. Mana is less than or equal to, right? So just do this, and then we spent 3 mana on it, and they can't snare. Worse against Pierce, but snare is a lot more common than Pierce these days. Cool line. You cut Winternight Stories? You could. I really think Winternight Stories are quite good. Like another big thing about Winternight Stories in this deck is you get to discard it to value to your other discard effects. I think that's something we're kind of sorely wanting. I'm against Universe Beyond sets, even if they're an IP I like. Until they do Fire Emblem, then I like it. Yeah, I think all the most hardline anti-Universe Beyonders, they all have at least one set that's like fine, or one IP that's like fine. All right, let's cast a Phlage instead of putting Obosh here. Before they can hopefully chop deck the 4th land for the Cling to Dust. They do have a Fatal Push. So they got 3 cards. Do they have the land for the Cling? They do have the land for the Cling. It's going to cost them their whole turn. They don't get a card, but we lose the Phlage, of course. Goodbye, Sweet Prince. Hello, my glorious king. Obosh the Prey Piercer. So they got 3 cards in their hand. Might just need a counterspell, but that's, it's a counterspell dealt with. Also, if it does resolve, it's very hard for them to kill since they're just a Fatal Push deck. It's like, oh no, I forgot to pack. I forgot to pack my shoot. I mean, they might have Shoot the Sheriff or like an Edict or something, but just kind of hard for them to kill a lot of the time. I love Decora. What a good set. If you ever see me type that in a chat, you know that I'm being held hostage somewhere, and I'm trying to send a signal. I think we rewrite that. 12 damage on Unholy Heat too. Save that to loot away. Companions were problematic, but come on. I also hated Mutate. Mutate was one of my least favorite mechanics of all time. I think Ikora is not a set I have a lot of good things to say about. I don't know. I don't have a lot of good things to say, so maybe I'll say nothing at all, huh? I also didn't like Triomes very much. Alright, we'll see if they chump block the Obosh to like free up the Scour. Okay, fine, you're not wrong. Like monster stuff? Yeah, you could like monsters and stuff. That was always allowed. I think the flavor is okay. Okay for sure. It's no K-pop Demon Hunters, though. I'll tell you what. So I think they're thinking about Force of Negationing my Scour. Counterspell, sure. I really want them to somehow play an 8/8 Murktide that dies to my Unholy Heat because I have Obosh in play. There are some dreams that cannot be. There are some storms we cannot weather. We were weathering a bunch of storms this week. No Revolt or Fatal Push here. No Lootings or Winternight Stories yet. I did have 1 Phlage. I think if we're gonna ask you now, see you about your deck. Yeah, like, look, we're winning the game because we have a companion. Shocker! Okay, they're currently dead on board to my Oculus dealing 10 damage. Oh wait, they're gonna Bowmaster their own Bowmaster so they can push the Oculus and then go to 1. Do it. Okay. We did get Shark Typhoon from Ikora. Me and my friends watched The Shark Side of the Moon this weekend, which was made by the same studio as Sharknado. And then we also watched Ice Cube's War of the Worlds. I'm gonna not heat here. I think I do want to save the heat for a big Murktide. Because if I heat the Orc Army, then they go like big Murktide, push the Manifest, all of a sudden we're losing. And the way they pitched a Murktide earlier to Force of Negation, I wonder if they have been sitting on one that they couldn't play because of the Cling. Why'd you watch that? It's just fun to make fun of some bad movies. I mean, to enjoy some excellent cinema. I miss Shark Typhoon. Can we bring that back? Instead of trying to painstakingly piece together the things you've lost in this life, it's always better to move forward. Enjoy the memories you had with Shark Typhoon and move on to playable modern cards. Alright, so not a lot for this matchup. Honestly, wouldn't hate Surgical for Cling to Dust and Frog. Although I guess if we Pending Frog, we can't cling it. I think I'll play Fire Magics for Bowmaster. Bowmaster's really annoying against us. Just play 1 Force. Oh yeah, the Consign. Although the Consign is actually not the worst because it's good against Graveyard Hate. Like, you just get to scam the Phlage. Doesn't really do much else. So I guess we'll try the second force probably. All I'll say is my greatest contribution to this channel was getting you to cosplay VTuber as a shard. If only we could relive that. Maybe one day, huh? Maybe one day. I paid like $50 for that license. Psycho Shark copy with Woodlands. We have done that in a wilderness reclamation shell. It was pretty fun. Yeah, there's a classic Obosh / Giganta against the Fatal Push deck. Okay, on the draw. Game 2. Reveal Obosh. Does Drowned Lockdown see play anymore? Not really, no. Sadly. I think I've waited too long to credibly represent Spell Snare, not that your opponent plays around Spell Snare that often anyways. Okay, love to see no Frog. If they take the Fire Magic, we know they have Bowmaster. Might take Giganta, or sorry, Phlage if they have a Surgical. They take the Scour, which I think makes some sense. Then they play a Tamiyo. I think a little slow, the Snare here. It's going to graveyard it. Could be good this game, though. We have the Fire Magic to clean up a Bowmasters. It's interesting how little Bowmasters played. I agree. Despite, like, Bowmasters is in a weird spot because I think most gamers agree that it's good at the moment, and then most gamers agree that it's underplayed. I guess it's on me to play more Bowmaster decks. Typhoon Songcrafter? Does Songcrafter target any non-creature spell? I thought it was just instants and sorceries. They see Winternight last game. I mean, they did see it like at least like the Scours. I don't think we drew Winternight or Looting though. Funny enough. Seems like a fine time to play the Winternight because I can Fire Magic in response to Bowmaster. Do Riddler decks care about Bowman? Yeah, they do. When if you can consolidate Fire Magic and Meltdown into Wrath of Skies or Boros and Affinity, you lose Obosh in those Cyber games, so it frees up Cyber slots for something like Charm for Titan Tron, which you're weak to. Yeah, maybe. I did have Wrath of Skies into my sideboard before I figured out I could play Obosh, and then I cut them. I will say that like Obosh is like a card I would really like to have, just for Boros, because we graveyard that for some value. I am out of Surveil lands. Do I get a basic planes? Or did they ever bring in Harbinger against me? Does basic planes even matter against Harbinger? I think not enough, probably. Although I guess there's not much downside to getting the planes either. Instead of a tap land. I could also flashback the Savine's Wreck if I wanted, and like just put 2 fetch lands into play, and the next turn I could go Phlage with Counterspell up. You know, I kind of like that against an opponent who's doing nothing here. Should the Jeskai Blinkless be cutting Felly Wrath playing Obosh? Felly is really nuts in that deck, so probably not. Like this deck, I really did just not change anything about the main deck to get Obosh. Bowmaster is good against Predator only if you're playing a black deck that cares about getting pings on your opponent's life total. Do you get a copy even if it resolves? No, says my opponent. I agree. So like Bowmaster out of coffers is not nearly as good as like the Riddler decks. Plays a Delta, finds their 4th land, 5 cards in their hand. This deck used to play Kiora in place of Oculus. I mean, that and Winternight. Maybe we had Winternight and Kiora for a bit. But yeah. I do think it should have been Oculus the whole time. Although I think I was partially like really into Wrath Disguise when we were playing this deck before. Like Wrath was better positioned, so it was harder to play Scour for your Oculus. They're playing a Murktide? A Kaito. Okay, well, this Force of Negation, I'm not too scared of Kaito, I guess. Kaito for the grindy matchups. Magical, 61 months. Have a good 2 weeks off in Japan. Don't stream the Monday after your wedding. Take a break. We'll see. It just kind of like the thing is with the Monday after the wedding. It's not because I feel like I have to. It's that Aster takes always so long to pack, and I'm going to be packed and I'm going to be bored. Is what I think might happen. But if I have stuff to do, I'll do stuff instead. All right, might get buried by the Kaito for the grindy matchups. Dice to Heat, dice to Phlage, dice to Prismatic Ending. Oh no, sorry, it's 4 mana value. I guess dice to Scour if I could Scour, escape the Phlage again. They do keep 2 cards on top, which is bad news. Save me, Obosh. Just escaped everything. Okay, well, I'm going to put Obosh in my hand. 1 mana shy of casting it. Likely going to go to game 3, but we'll play it up. Could be a newlywed bonding exercise helping Esther Pack. I can't help Esther Pack. Trust me. They plus the Teferi. I guess that makes sense with the Obosh in the hand. Yeah, Fire Magic can't deal damage to Planeswalkers. Do anything for love, won't do that. Well, she just doesn't want help, you know what I mean? It's just not a couple activity. But when it's a creature, I think it does kill it. Let's try. Wouldn't they board up Bowmasters? I don't know why they would. We showed them at least Scour. Chat lied to me. It's hexproof. What? I did the damage, but I don't know. It's not indestructible. Why didn't it have the loyalty counters? It's just a creature? Okay. Well, we're learning. Card of the yard for the Phlage. It's a creature, not a walker. I guess if it was still a walker, it would say is it would specify that. Ugh, subtlety is so bad here. Yeah, why can it activate the abilities if it's not a planeswalker though? Loyalty abilities are not planeswalkers. Oh, that's why. Okay, cool. We'll play it out here. I could just draw an Arena of Glory. Wait, am I dead? 5. I am dead. Okay, never mind. Game 3. Yeah, they're gonna sub the Bowmasters. I'm gonna leave the Fire Magics in. I can loot them away too sometimes. Yeah, I guess that's why Kaito doesn't take combat damage. Loyalty damage. Alright, so let's lead on the looting. Steeman's looting. Alright, happy enough to him to Turok my opponent here. Lynn's the 38 months? I'll do my best. Alright, they keep a card on top. I feel like they've got a frog if they're going to force a negation here, maybe. Well, wouldn't they want to save it? I don't know. They Nile Spellbomb, and then they pass. Maybe they're afraid of Snare. So I don't think I'm very interested in tapping out for Obosh here and not having Snare up. Our bindings unpopular because of Felia Witch Enchanter. Consign is another big one. There are just a lot of ways to deal with it, and then also like when you're more in on that game plan, you're sorry, I was so hard to walk and talk sometimes. You're not in as in on Surveillance, and Surveillance are really, really good. But there's also just like not that many multicolored decks that would want to take advantage of it. Like Binding is still good in like the Cascade Ritual deck and Domain Zoo, but most decks just want to try to stay with fewer colors, and there's other removal options. Yeah, I agree that they would not have forced if they had the Spellbomb available. I'm going to ask a lot of rules questions in this match, funny enough, both sides. Yeah, it doesn't say in the game log that you put the companion in your hand. Alright, so I've got the fire magic in my hand. We don't need to worry about this. Not right now, at least. Special action. Yeah, but shouldn't it still be in the game log? Even if it's a special action. Actually, I could worry about this because of Kaito. Alright, I think they probably don't have a frog. Let's cast the fire magic. Fire! I'm making it look like I have an Oculus and I'm one card short of escaping it. So that way, if I crack a fetch next turn, my opponent might crack the Nile Spellbomb without me having to like put a Phlage in the yard first. I think I want to hold up Snare for a second Bowmaster, or Counterspell on the Obosh next turn. But we'll use it on a frog. And then this is another card in the graveyard so that my opponent is pretty incentivized to use this Nile Spellbomb because of Oculus. What do I know? Alright, let's cast the Scour so that if I bill over a Phlage, I can just escape it. This might pop the Spellbomb, or prompt the Spellbomb, rather. Ding, ding, ding. I guess, do I want to haste? Because my opponent's pretty likely to have Counterspell. Yeah, let's not haste. I think they're too likely to have Counterspell here. And if they don't have Counterspell, like, it's still pretty good for us. Thought Scour Phlage, pretty underexplored. Did you leave up white mana so you can cast this Helping Hand and force the Spellbomb if no draw after the counter? I mean, I don't think that's something we want to do. Like, Helping Hand when Spellbomb in play isn't exactly forcing the Spellbomb as it is just like letting them get a good 2-for-1, which is something I think we could just avoid pretty easy. Super long-time YouTube lurker. Usually can't catch the stream due to being in the Japanese time zone. Want to congratulate you on upcoming wedding. It was the date public announced kept private. It's this Sunday. It's announced. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. Obosh next turn lethal. Hopefully. Ooh. Exile the Obosh. I was really excited to go Obosh, Helping Hand the Phlage to deal 12. Now they're thinking about exiling both Phlages. That's not going to be the right choice here, though. Although, no, they're going to exile one of the Phlages anyway, so it's not like I can Sevine's Reclamation to like bring one back, flash back, two more. They have 3 cards in their hand. This was a really good turn from them. But I don't know how they're taking this long to the side. We have a lot of good top decks, assuming they do take the Obosh. Maybe they just have like a good answer to Obosh in their hand, and they want to get rid of both Phlages. How many Oculi do I have left in the deck? I have 3 Oculi, 3 Looting, 3 Winternight Stories, 3 Scours. This is 15 damage over the course of 3 turns, so I guess let's go for that. I think the best play around more Graveyard Hate, I'm just going to Sevine's Rack this Phlage. They don't know I drew the second Phlage yet. Oh, it's actually more than that, sorry. It was 18 damage. 7/7 Murktide. 2 cards in their hand. No! I guess we force the spell bomb. Maybe they won't spell bomb here. Yeah, 2-week break after the Sunday wedding. Should be back a little bit more like 2.5 weeks. Gonna be back November 13th probably. So they have 3 cards in their hand. We technically have lethal next turn. But they could have counter magic. Okay, now we've got Snare up for counterspell, so let's go for it. We could wait because of disputes. Tough. Alright, now we are decidedly behind. Especially with them being able to escape this Cling and grow the... I guess they don't have any instants or sorceries left, but... Tough, tough, tough. Gotta draw like Winternight Stories or Looting into Oculus. Is that the last Phlage? That is the last Phlage. I think I'm gonna unearth, so if they cling to dust the Phlage and I get to go Scour, Haste, Oculus, we can get there. They just have to dispute anyways. But I had to main phase it too because of the cling anyways, I think. But now I'm at 13, so I do die to 2 Murktide attacks. So if I can draw Scour or Winternight into Oculus, I can haste the Oculus to try to do lethal, but I guess with them having Cling to Dust, that's not lethal. Yeah, I really thought we were going to win this one. With no Phlages left in the deck, I don't see a lot of avenues to victory here. Not even Obosh can save us now. They main phase the Cling. They can hit me for 9 down to 4. I guess I could go like cast an Oculus, manifest an Oculus, chump block, and then it's still not enough, and they've got 2 cards in their hand that are both spells. Let's see what we draw. We draw Tamiyo. I think I'm going to pack it in instead of trying to jump with the Tamiyo this turn. 2-1. Good match. No blue mana, no keep, I guess. Let's put back the Force on the mulligan. Alright, so do you hold up Snare for Steel Cutter, or do you just fire off the Pending? I think we gotta hold up the Snare. You want to let the Surveil happen before the Steel Cutter resolves. Give them less info on their selection. They do decide to keep a card on top. I'm gonna get basic islands, less painful, but worse if I find a Phlage. Not as good as Winternight over Spyro. Winternight's better than Spyro. It's been very good in this deck. You get to discard it for value, and you get to like flash it back for 1 mana a lot of the time. It plays pretty different, I suppose. Did find the Phlage. Interested. I guess they just wanted to get the Delirium. It was basically 0 mana, 4 damage. Worth it. Out of gas. Maybe some burn spells over there. Untap land for Oculus would be nice. How about second Oculus? We've already had one. Spyro also being double red is trickier to cast. But like when you get to play Winternight Stories and Phlage and Oculus, all of a sudden you have a lot of stuff to discard for value. As soon as you start, you could play Spyro and be more in on the Unearthed plan if you wanted, but Spyro is also kind of bad with like Force of Negation, Spell Snare. And a graveyard of Steam Vents. The first Oculus might just die here. I don't think I cast the Looting first. I think we'll just make sure we can put one of these on the stack. Like if this trades for a Bolt and a Lava Dart and a land, I'll be happy to take the 3-for-1. Also, just turn 3 cast Winternight. Like it's like you're drawing. You just draw 3 basically. Discard the Phlage. It's like 3 mana, draw 3 with flashback. Like that's a really powerful turn usually. Well, we got another one. Yeah, I think it's too tough to play 3 mana Teferi with all of the 3-drops we're already playing. Teferi is kind of bad against Prowess too. It is like I think Teferi's been better in the metagame than it has been. But I think with the rise of Prowess, it might be like falling again. Kind of hard to say. Okay, opponent flips a Swift Spear to the Iteration. 3 cards in their hand. Second Iteration, okay. They reveal a Channeler that's going to be relegated to exile forever. Best way to play around Mutagenic Growth is to double block. If they have 2 Mutagenic Growths as to 2 of their last unknown 3, good for them. Now, could I lose this game to Slick Shot Show Off? Maybe. Let's just not. Just flip the Oculus Pass. What if we just didn't lose to it? What if we just played around it? Taking a look at the Brood Sky Solis you're playing before, I have a question regarding Prismatic Vista over classic fetches to search for forest. Give you the option to find Surveil. I think that being able to find a waste is more relevant. We had this dialogue tree a bunch where I kept getting the waste and I kept being like, this is better than a fetch. And a lot of people had your line of thought. It's not super different either direction you go down, but for me, I just really care about being able to get the wastes. Well, I'm glad we played around the show off. Yeah, I like having conversations about deck building and play. It's why I enjoy streaming so much. Good conversations, even if I go a little crazy sometimes. Yeah, 1 card in their hand. So if the last card was Lava Dart or the Double Strike spell, we would have lost if we attacked with the Oculus. Instead, it was a Lightning Bolt. So we lose the Manifest. These trade. They're going to have 2 cards in their hand after they draw. But I guess I'm just going to make another Eyeball. I could also go like Tamiyo plus Looting this turn. Now I could go Looting into Oculus with the ability to try to escape the Phlage next turn. Although I guess I'm not escaping the Phlage next turn, because I'll have exiled too many cards. Oculus, we'll just play an Oculus. Then which will start filling up the yard again. I think there's small value in getting Mortuary to untap the Bajuka Bog. Untap the Bajuka Bog at entry. Yeah, I don't know how Mortuary untaps with Jukabog. I think there's some confusion there somewhere. All right, I think we can attack. You don't have to escape mana for Phlage. Yeah, but if I cast the looting, I'm pretty likely to find it. If you fetch Mortuary first, Bog enter tapped. I think you're wrong about that. I'm pretty sure Bojuka Bog always enters tapped. Bojuka Bog doesn't say if you control a swamp, it enters untapped. That just sounds like you're under that impression. Okay, up a game against Prowess. Kind of main decked for it. Probably playing like a Fire Magic over a Consign. Keeping everything else the same. What did the ring look like for you in development? Is that what Bilbo's ring might look like? So I can't tell you what it said, because that's like the one thing you're not allowed to say when you consult is what cards used to be like, because they might want to use those designs again later. That being said, I could not tell you what it did if I wanted to. I remember that it was 5 mana instead of 4, and I remember that it was so uninteresting and unpowerful that I gave the feedback that it sure is a shame that the One Ring seems like it'll see no play, like for such an iconic card. Like I gave the feedback that it would be a card not even Commander players would be interested in. I remember giving that feedback, and then the rest is history, I guess. I'm so sorry. So I think we're gonna save the Force for Steel Cutter. We could maybe go Tamiyo plus looting next turn. Like it was about as close to a 5 mana do nothing I've ever seen. So I don't think that they will be reusing the design. All right, even if I saw a Prismatic Ending on top, I wouldn't not force this. Yeah, you're welcome, Post Malone, or I'm sorry. I don't know. I do think that they would have changed the ring with or without my feedback. I think Canister gave similar feedback on it. I think that they all kind of knew that it was not, it was just not a good direction to go. All right, we can graveyard that and try to look for a helping hand. Interested in discarding the island. Nice. M3 to 29. Thank you. Welcome back. I think Post got it because it was the One Ring, not because he plans to shuffle it up. I mean, I agree, but I also I don't know that there would have been nearly as much interest in the card if it wasn't like an incredibly good commander card. The kind of card that goes in like every commander deck forever. Right, they heat the token. I don't think I'm very likely to lose this game from this point. Yeah, sir. I was worried about Surgical and Oculus for a sec there. I think they were maybe just stunned by the helping hand. So we're gonna take 6 down to 12. More eyeballs. I find this Oculus abhorrent. Unlike most Oculuses, which are easy on the eye. Yeah, I and Oculus play. I and Phlage play so well together. Not only because the Oculus fills up the yard, but also if you manifest a Phlage, you just get to flip it and attack. Of course, the downside is they both eat up your graveyard sometimes. So they do have Delirium. They fry the eyeball. I think they're just setting themselves up to lose to the Phlage next turn. I will say, great prowess matchup is going to be certainly a big feature of wanting to play this archetype. Yeah, one card in their hand. If their last card's Lava Dart, they can save the Swifty, but that is okay with me. The last card does seem to be a instant or sorcery to at least have the show off trade for the eyeball. There are 10 creatures with type I, and 2 of them say non-I creatures you control can't attack. Yeah, Magic used to be better, huh? So the last card is Lava Dart. I'd have never thought that the eyeball filling the yard one card per turn is good enough to play nice with Phlage. Then again, I'm bad. Well, it's also that if you manifest a Phlage, you get to flip it over. And then the other thing is that both Eyeball and Phlage really like you to play Faithless Looting and Thought Scour. And even though Helping Hand and Savine's Reclamation is better with Oculus than it is with Phlage, it's okay to have a 1-mana Lightning Helix too. So it's definitely like there is some tension where you're both exiling the yard, but it's a lot more overlapping synergy than it is tension. I played a Famished Worldsire deck. I recall in previews it said it was going to be some kind of creativity type deck. I actually have... Oh my god, did not just draw Arena of Glory. I have played some Famished Worldsire off stream. I was under the impression that Famished Worldsire worked a little bit differently, where you could creativity X equals 2, resolve one of the triggers, then... you could resolve one of the triggers, then resolve the second after you'd already put a lot more lands into play. It doesn't work that way. You can't do it. You can't do that. You could just do one trigger. That being said, I did spend some time like creativity X equals 1 for Famished Worldsire, and I was pretty surprised how good it was, how many lands you would put into play for 4 mana. It notably didn't exactly seem better than Primeval Titan in any situation that wasn't on turn 4, creativity into Titan. I did kind of think that maybe it would be interesting to play like 1 Famished Worldsire and 4 Titans as your creativity targets in like green-red creativity. I will also say that it was if somehow like the biggest problem with that build was fetch lands, like just surveilling over fetch lands, or sorry, putting fetch lands into play with Worldsire, not triggering Valakut. That was a big issue. And so I was kind of looking at trying to play a non-fetch land build, and I ended up playing a lot of Prismatic Omens instead. And then I had a lot of Prismatic Omens in my deck for a build I could just be playing Primeval Titan in instead. I guess my island is gone. So that's how we haven't played it on stream yet. There may be something there. I did kind of give up. Can't you resolve the first trigger? The way Devour works, it's like an as it enters, you sacrifice. So you can't resolve one trigger then the other. They're both enter. You both have to sack the stuff. Then once you've sacked it, the reveal goes on the stack. All right, let's get a 4-1 prediction going. The 3-mana artifact, you imprint an artifact, everything costs 2 less. And then you can play your Reality Fulcrum, and you can try to hit Phyrexian Metamorph, and then tap it and play another copy of it. It's like, you just say, even saying this, it sounds so bad, but like, you know, I could just envision a really beautiful turn happening along those lines. And is Obosh here for a specific reason or just no opportunity cost? Yeah, it's no opportunity cost, you know. It's 2020, and I'm explaining to chat that companions are broken. It's 2023, Luris is banned. I explained to chat companions are broken. It's 2025. We get to play Obosh for free. I explained to chat companions are broken. Just my what is Hercules had trials or labors? It's my never-ending labor, which I'm happy to perform. That's a good start here. We did beat Proud or Affinity earlier this league, not in game 1. Sisyphus. Well, I think Hercules specifically had labors, but I think I know people say Hercleian task. Is there ever like a Sisyphusan task? Is that a thing? I kind of want to attack with the Tamiyo so that when it dies, I can cast the Oculus next turn. I just can't really beat the Saga though. I guess let's not do that. There is a how do you say it? Sisyphusian? How do I incorporate this in my vocabulary without sounding like I don't know what I'm talking about? Sisyphean? Yeah, I know who Sisyphus is. I just I just didn't know the adjective. Sisyphean. Okay, cool. My Sisyphean task of explaining to chat the companions are really broken. You know, we won this game with Obosh, but Obosh couldn't carry us the rest of the match. A second saga? Have mercy! Alright, we'll scoop to the Kappa Cannoneer before it's even here. We see you tap in the Thopters. And we'll bring in. So yeah, I'm gonna go like full Consign. Again, historically Consign has not been something that I've loved against in these matchups. However, and I guess this build I won both fire magics. However, being able to consign the ward trigger on Kappa Cannoneer, I think is a pretty big dealio. So I want to get rid of the forces. I want to get rid of the unearths. Against this build, I'm pretty likely to want to keep in 2 snare for weapons. Maybe just 1. We still have the pendings. 1 or 2. Let's go to Winternight. Maybe an Oculus 2. Let's play 2. Yeah, Obosh does cost us Wrath, which is a card I did have in the sideboard before, realizing we could play Obosh. Okay, let's keep this on the play. Not going to cast the Looting turn 1. Just going to probably Surveil instead of Scour. Take it a little bit slower. Unless they, maybe if they have like a crazy Pinnacle Emissary start, we'll Scour. In a build like this one, do you also consider even cards for the sideboard? You can consider them. Like, it might be okay. I just remembered someone in chat said we could lose Obosh to play Charbal. You can play Charbal with Obosh. I probably should have responded there. You know, that's those two are mutually exclusive. I digress. If there is an even cost sideboard card you really, really want to play, you can. It's not like you just have to play all odds. But I like. Oh, they're still playing the Emissary? Wow, your hand is this good? Their hand is indeed this good, huh? Meltdown's not even that crazy. They get to sack 2 Baubles. And it's not even in my hand. Although we kind of want to save the, well, I don't know. Let's see what we draw. Let's Surveil. It's the same amount of cards you see. I guess, do I want to consign this? I think that feels to me kind of like a losing play. They just get to like cast the Pinnacle Emissary instead. I think we have a lot of dig. I'm gonna try to find a Meltdown. Okay, I drew one anyways, so fair enough. And I guess we'll consign. Five cards in their hand. All lands, probably. One of those lands, Urza Saga. This is one of the best Affinity turn 2s I've seen. It's 2 sagas plus the Thought Monitor play, still 3 cards in hand. I yield. I humbly yield. 3-2. 1-1 against Affinity. Lost to Dimir Frog also. Let's run it back. I think the deck looked good. Got any Enchantress brews that look promising? We did pretty well with Seam Rip Enchantress when that card came out.